Rick, what's going on, fam? Let's give Rick Glaser a round of applause. Rick, I ain't gonna have you on long, man. I ain't gonna have you on long because I got a lot of cooking to do. I just want to ask you a couple questions. What's going on with
you? What a shame.
Yeah, man. What's going on, Rick? Hey, how you doing? What's going on up there, man? I hear snowing up there.
Bad weather. I mean, we got 79-mile-an-hour winds, a lot of snow, frigid cold. It's really ugly. Everything's shut down. The grocery stores, they said, aren't going to open up till Monday. They shut down at 12 o'clock today. We've had emergency driving bans since 7 o'clock this morning. I can't even see outside.
Oh, man, you know. Hey, shout out to Will. What'd you say? He said the short answer is that nobody wants to fight Crawford. I think people are scared of him. He say the guys who wrote the checks don't want to pay Crawford. Okay, all right. Rick, quick question I have for you. Did you see the Adrien Broner on the Porterway podcast?
I saw bits and pieces of it. People were putting out bits and pieces of it. I never saw the whole thing collectively there, but I heard bits and pieces. And he basically, without mentioning it, he basically blasted PBC.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did it on the low.
And Al Haymon.
Yeah, shout out to Drew. He said, like I said before, on the first day of Christmas, Booger Ray gave to me a nice massage on their back and rubbed my feet. Currency over legacy. Free sad sack salary. I don't know. He loved free sack. He loved sad sack. Hey, man. Hey, shout out to Drew. Hey, so yeah, basically what I was saying was he talked about how, yeah, man, the money he got and get with BLK Prime, you know, because there's some kind of conspiracy, you know, saying that, hey, man, BLK Prime is fake. They don't have no money. Everybody's lying. Everybody's lying but the Haymonites. You know, the Haymonites tell the truth, and anything that doesn't fit their narrative, everyone else is lying. So he spoke about, hey, man, the money real. Terence Crawford got paid his $10 million. You know, they lying about that. But anyways, he said, this is what he said. He said that he don't have to wait 6 months or to a year in order to get the back end money or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So he really, and guess what? Sean Porter agreed with him. He said, yeah, I heard about your deal. He said, yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that. And stuff like that. He just pretty much confirmed what Adrien Broner was saying. And you know what I mean? So again, you know, he didn't say it was shade to the PBC Al Haymon, but then he said, but you know, this situation is totally different. He said that his trainer, Kevin Cunningham, is the one that hooked him up with that deal. Is the one that hooked him up with that deal. They made that deal happen in 3 days. I wonder how he was able to make that happen like that if he was under contract with Al Haymon, BBC.
I heard he wasn't under contract anymore with Al Haymon. Al Haymon tried to re-sign him, and Broner wouldn't do it. He didn't. You know, he was sick of getting tossed around like a used condom, and he just went to move on. I mean, with his life. I mean, he did the right thing, and you know, people don't know this, but Sean Porter basically gave Haymon an ultimatum about the Crawford fight. Haymon didn't want him to take the Crawford fight. He basically gave him an ultimatum, and you know, and so Porter wasn't happy with him in the end either. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. So explain how did that Crawford fight happen with Sean Porter? Because it seemed like that Sean Porter was very, very adamant about making that fight happen. The total opposite of what you're hearing from Spence. Porter didn't say you're on the wrong side of the street. He didn't say 60-47 to 38-20.
What happened was Haymon didn't have anything for Porter that would have paid him a lot of money, you know, and he didn't have any fight for him at all that it even paid little money. So he was the mandatory, being a Porter for Crawford, and Arum said, let's go take this to purse bids. Well, in the meantime they made a deal beforehand. Crawford $6 million, Porter $4 million, which was an equivalent to a $10 million bid because it was a 60-40 split. Okay. And in the meantime when they were started going through this whole transaction, Haymon didn't want to take him to fight, and Porter told him, he says, you got nothing from me. He said, got no money from me. Yeah, no money fight. He says, I'm taking this fight, Al. Okay, so if you want in, you're in. But if you don't want this for me to take this fight, and you're adamant, you could be out too. Basically speaking, is what he said.
All
Now,
right, so
was I in on the exact wording of the conversation? No, but that's the gist of the conversation.
all right, so you have a couple of people in here. They they really don't believe what you say. So, one brother right here, my brother, he say, please ask Rick, where does he get his information from? Where do you get your information from, Rick? Do you make stuff up? Do you pull it out of thin air? I'm just have to ask. That's a legitimate question. Where do you get your information from?
I think after 32 years, I think I'll be 32 years in January in boxing full time. I have an awful lot of connections, and a matter of fact, I have somebody inside the walls of every organization in this country, and in the UK too. So I know what's going on daily. I'm apprised of things, and people give me information because they want favors in return that I can give them. So goes both ways.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. You do.
If I was making things up, how come I'm right so often when I told everybody that Spence wasn't fighting Crawford in November, and I said it in July 25th?
Yeah, no, you did say that. You did say
right.
that, and I found 2 videos where I said that shit wasn't going to happen. I found one December the 16th, and I said it in August as well. I said I find it ain't gonna happen. I got the 2 videos. I'm gonna do a show and just show the receipts where I said it. Shout out to YouTube Scholar. He said Boots 1 hamburger away from having to move up to 154. I think he's making the weight easy though. I think Boots is making the weight easy.
Believe it or not, even though he's huge, for the weight, he makes the weight relatively easily, way more than people think. He makes it easier than Spence makes 147.
What you think it's because of his lifestyle? Because I hear Boots lives in the gym. He stays in the gym.
Yeah, he does. He does. Boots is a very unusual guy. He puts out all the bullshit, the negativity, the street shit, and he just concentrates on boxing and his family. That's all he cares about. And that's the way he wants to lead his life. That's the way it's supposed to be led. Your business and your family. All the other stuff is con gaff and bullshit.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if you're familiar with this situation right here, and I always ask you about the sanctioning bodies, how they operate, the politics that go on in the background. Jaron Ennis, okay, in the WBO, let's just stick to the WBO. Terence Crawford is the WBO super champion. And number 1 is Boots Ortiz. Number 2 is Jaron Ennis. Now, there's been a rumor, speculation, lie, sources say going on, and I know where he's coming from, that Jaron Ennis was the mandatory to fight Terence Crawford. But that's not true. I know for a fact that's not true. I just went to WBO's website. So I just heard an interview from Bozy Ennis, which is Jaron Ennis' father. He said that they petitioned the IBF to fight for the IBF title, which Errol Spence holds. And they were told that
he holds the interim title, I believe.
Yeah, he holds the interim title, yes.
Right.
And he petitioned to fight Spence next.
He
went the IBF route. And they told him, so after this fight that he's fighting on Tank Davis's undercard, January the 7th. After this fight, he's the Mando. And they said that Spence has 120 days to fight Boots Ennis after he has his other fight, because he's been mandated to fight Keith Thurman, which he more than likely gonna fight Keith Thurman. That's an in-house fight. But Spence said he's not going to be back until May or June. So he won't come back till next year, the summertime.
No, it doesn't work like that. Once the IBF mandates that he fights him after Spence within 120 days, that fight will have to take place next fall, or they'll just strip him. It's not when Spence decides to come back. Doesn't work like that. Okay, so if he doesn't fight him within that time period, or they could fight him, like, say, a month after that, but they have to agree to it up front. The IBF has to agree to it, but it has to be done in a timely, orderly fashion per the IBF rules, and then they stick to the rules. So there you go. So that's not true.
Okay, that's not true. Okay, all right. So I think the welterweight division is going to be a lot better once Crawford and Spence move up. I think it'll be a lot better. It's going to free up a lot of stuff, because the young guys, I feel that they do need a shot. But you got to you get what you earn, and we know how the business of boxing. Well, you know the business of boxing more than me or anyone in this chat because you've been doing it for 33 years. So, how do you foresee the welterweight division playing out for 2023?
Well, having Spence have 3 of the belts locked up, he'll lose one definitely to the IBF. To Boots Ennis, assuming Boots wins January 7th. That's a goner. Mm-hmm. If Crawford and Everett fights Boots, I don't think it's going to be for undisputed. That's just my opinion.
What are you saying? At welterweight?
Yeah, it won't be for undisputed.
Why you say that?
Because the belts will be broken up. Ennis will have one.
Yeah.
Don't forget, if he doesn't fight Ortiz, if Ortiz beats Stanionis, okay, or Stanionis wins and he doesn't fight that's another belt gone. Then he'll be just down to the WBC belt. So we'll see what happens. But it's not very promising. Let's put it that way to you. That whole mess is not very promising.
So you think Al Haymon is a very powerful guy. I'm pretty sure he got persuasion. He can make it. He can shake and bake, right? You don't think he can shake and bake? And
he's not shaking and baking. If Virgil Ortiz beats Stanionis, the Stanionis is with Oscar, and he's not number one because they don't want him to be number one. They want him to be number one. That's why he was number one. So they're not going to let if he beats Stanionis, they're not going to let Stan there and just let Spence walk over him. They'll take the title and declares Ortiz a full champion.
I wonder why Stanionis took step aside one time, right?
And maybe twice.
Yeah. Yeah, because I heard an interview. He said something about he didn't do it the second time, but it seemed like Stanionis got kind of shafted. And I think if he had a chance to do it all over again, he never would have.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He was just giving up the belt. Spence. Spence ain't fighting Stanionis. He ain't fighting Ortiz. He ain't fighting Crawford, and he ain't fighting Ennis.
Okay. So what options you think he have? He move up to 154 and then try 154.
For that to happen, Jamal.
You mean Jamel?
I mean Jamel would have to move up to 60 and go after one of the other belts, not the one his brother has. Mm-hmm. And to leave an opening for Spence. Nobody's going to pay Spence just because he's Spence without a title. Mm-hmm. And without something interesting. So he'd have to move up and fight for one of the vacant titles, one of the titles that Jamel vacates. So if Jamel wants to vacate, that's up to him. He's going to call that shot. Yeah. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, because I don't think Jamel is talking about moving up anytime soon. He takes pride in being undisputed. He's going to fight Tim Tszyu. So shit, Spence don't come back to June. What you're saying is that's a possibility that if he decides to come back in June, he can have less belts. What you're saying?
100%.
Oh, okay.
He fights for in June he could have all the belts, but after that, the IBF will be looking to strip him. The WBA, if it's Virgil Ortiz, they're going to be at him like a cheap suit. If it's Stanionis, they're not going to be at him like a cheap suit. Because Haymon's got claws into Stanionis, and so that's not going to be that big a deal. But if Virgil Ortiz wins, that's a big deal.
So yeah, because is there a reason? Is there a reason why Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis did not take the WBO route? Why they didn't?
Those guys, their backers don't think they can beat Crawford. I mean, what would make anybody think that those two guys could beat Crawford right now? I don't think so. Maybe in 2 years, if Crawford's 37 years old and they've had some more experience against top fighters, that may happen, but not now. They don't want to take that chance.
Yeah, because Boots is a very, very talented fighter, but we haven't really seen him fight anybody.
Here's the thing with Boots. He looks like Sugar Ray Robinson when he's throwing punches, but who knows what he's going to look like when somebody's throwing punches back at him.
Right. Yeah. That is
And
true.
Crawford's going to throw back, and he's going to land.
And I was hoping that we would be able to see Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, because Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray, when him and what year that was, how old they was when Sugar Ray and Hearns fought each other. That one was like 24.
The first one was September 16th, 1981.
It was
that was 20, the first time they fought.
That was 24 and 22?
Yeah, they were very young. Yep.
Right. Put them up the same age Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis is now. So, a lot of the stuff that you hear now was
different era. Yeah, different era. Different era. Let's not confuse all-time greats with the guys that had balls down to their ankles.
Yeah, you're right. And I tell these people that, man. I say, man, it's just a different era, dog. Like my criteria is an old school criteria, and the things that impress people in today's time, it really don't impress me to that degree, because I look at Marvin Hagler, Salvador Sanchez, Azuma Nelson. You know what I mean? Wilfredo Benitez. I look at these other guys, and James Lights Out Tony, and I'm like, man, I don't see these dudes really moving like that. So you get what I'm saying? They hardly fight. It's more diva-like. It's more diva-ish. You know what I mean? So I'm hearing stuff, man. You wrong side of the street.
Imagine back in the day if a couple of these fighters that have said that they've got mental illness, like Adrien Broner and Ryan Garcia. Could you imagine if they would have said that in another era? People would be laughing, snickering at them, and everything else.
Yeah.
They'd be making fools out of. Been making fools out of them. Yeah. So it's a different era today, all together. I mean, it's just the world's different. The world's different today.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I think it is I think some of these fighters today, they want the old school baddest man on the planet accolades without putting in the old school baddest man on the planet work. And you know what I mean? And it's very, and that's what I see. That's what I see. My thing is, you're very talented, you look good, but who you fight matters. Who you fight matters. So, I mean, that's just the way I see it. Is the politics different today, Rick, than in your opinion?
The politics aren't really different. They're basically the same in boxing, but the mind state of the promoters and the mind state of the fighters and the mind state of the trainers and the managers are completely different. So give you an idea, a promoter puts all this money into a fighter, building him up, and he doesn't want to get him beat, and then he's got a pile. In his mind, he's got a pile of shit on his hands instead of trying to rebuild the fighter. The manager gives the fighter all the shit, and he wants the gravy train to keep going. The trainer, he's embarrassed if his fighter loses. Oh God, I'm not gonna lose. I don't want to lose that guy. He's my arch enemy trainer. So a lot of fights don't get made for that reason today. So. And then there's always the Al Haymon effect, anything to do with PBC, of course.
Take me through the matchmaking process. Like before a fight gets made, well, first of all, have you ever did any matchmaking?
Yeah, I was a career matchmaker from 1992 to 2016.
Okay. So
I just don't do I'm in boxing full time still. I just don't do matchmaking. I had gotten cancer in 2016, and when we came back to boxing in 2019, I was just part-time those years because I had the cancer so bad. And when I did come back, I didn't want to travel like I did. And when you're a matchmaker, you have to go to the shows. So, and I just didn't want to have that obligation to make the matches and have to go to the shows. I wanted to do it at my own leisure. So I don't do matchmaking anymore, but I do know the process well. So the process is everybody has to agree to a fight on both sides. If they have two different promoters, they've got two different trainers, two different managers, the TV network, the boxing commission, the sponsors have to agree. Let's just say one guy is a convicted felon or has a history of something negative. The sponsors would have to agree. It's a very complex process, and there's a lot of people that they have to say yes. And a lot of times, a fighter's wife has to say yes, believe it or not. Where you may have a manager, but the wife's the driving force, and she says, "No, I don't take that fight. We don't need that. We got money in the bank right now. Let's take it when we're desperate. We're not desperate right now." Or she wants to buy a big house, and she said, "Oh, let's take this fight. We can get that house." So the wife, believe it or not, has a lot to say in the process, believe it or not legally speaking, but from the standpoint where he's sleeping with her every night.
Yeah. I get it. You know what? I never heard of that. Like, yeah, I can just imagine you sitting at home and your wife like, look, baby, this, we got money.
Well,
This fight.
I'll give you a typical example. Back, I can't remember what year this was, maybe 2012, 13. Without mentioning names, I was negotiating with a fighter. He wanted 350,000 for a fight, and I was offering him 100,000 because the fight was worth 100 to 100 and a quarter, and he wanted 350,000 because he really didn't want to fight the guy. So I had his home number, and I called him, not only his cell phone number, I called him at home, and I said to his wife, I says, I don't understand your husband. She says, what do you mean? I says, he just turned down 100,000. She said, yeah, we said he wants 350. She goes, oh my God. She goes, the van, we need a new minivan. He said, our kids going back to school soon. We need kids need new shoes, and they're growing out of them so fast, and all these reasons. She goes, you stay. Is that fight still available? Yeah, you stay right there. About 20 minutes later, he called me sobbing. Why'd you tell my wife that? Why'd you do that? Ba, 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 ba. He ended up fighting for 100 and a quarter. And I had to send him 10,000 up front to get everything straightened out. The shoes, the minivan, all that stuff. So a lot of times the wife or a girlfriend, living girlfriend, has a big influence on what. Another thing that has a big influence is child support. Guy gets behind on child support. And all of a sudden he's desperate. So you got to know all these things. You got to know the in and outs of what's going on. That's why you always have to listen, because you find out a lot if you listen.
Oh, so old slick sapsucker like yourself in boxing, you'll find out. Oh, okay. So listen, check this out, baby. Well, now I know you got another child on the side from your other baby mama that your wife don't know about. I want to make this fight for you, but you're asking for kind of like too much money. Really, this is what I want to pay. It'd be a shame if someone was to.
I don't do it. I don't use it in a devious way. But I have to remind them. I say, weren't you the guy that 4 months ago you were high on your child support? I advanced you $20,000 or $12,000 or whatever. I said, and you paid half back. Don't you owe the other half still? So you have to sort of browbeat them about it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So wow, I didn't. Boy, y'all a dirty boy. Y'all a dirty boy. The game dirty boy. So do fighters get like? I've always heard. I heard this from a couple of people outside of yourself. So is it the norm that fighters borrow money from their promoters or advisors?
Oh yeah, promoters. They borrow money from the promoters, managers, advisors. Of course, absolutely. In between fights, a lot of them do. I know Al Haymon has many fighters on the pad. They all do. Every one of them.
Bob Arum as well. Eddie Hearn.
Every one of them.
And one of
them. It doesn't stop.
So walk me through a scenario. A fighter borrows money from his promoter, and what type of interest? What would be the reason why a fighter would borrow money from the promoter? I don't want to assume anything, but why would he? Why he just can't live off the money that he made from his last fight?
Well, a lot of times people when they have a last fight, the guys want to buy a double or want to buy a 4-unit apartment building. He's got to put the money down. Now he doesn't have any other money coming in, and that thing's not going to generate a profit for a few years because it's got to pay itself down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of reasons why. A lot of guys spend money frivolously. I had a fighter once made a $402,500. Okay. And 33 days later, he was broke.
Well, he got paid $400,000.
Wait. It was in 1995, by the way. He got 402,500, and in 33 days later, he wanted to borrow 10,000 from me. He was broke.
What did he do with the money?
Bought his wife a minivan. Caught up on some people that he owed money to. A little bit of everything. Just blew it. So it'll happen.
Damn,
It was a well-known heavyweight.
Okay, so when a fighter does that, now he's at the mercy of the promoter.
Not necessarily, because if he borrows too much money, the promoter is now at his mercy. So you can't let them too much.
Okay. All right. So it's important for a fighter to fight, at least as much as possible, because
in the old days, yes. Today, Haymon just lends him money in between, and then like his fight so infrequently, he lends him money in between. Then by the time the fight happens, they got to pay back all these loans. Here's another problem you got, just to let you know. Okay, there's a misconception about something. So let's say you make $1 million purse. I'm just using the round figure, okay? And you borrow $300,000, okay?
Okay.
You owe the $300,000 out of your money. It doesn't come off the top, because the trainer and the manager have to get paid off the top. So if you got $600,000 left and you borrowed $300,000, you get $300,000. You understand? Where these fighters, they think the money comes back off the top, then they can pay the trainer less and the manager less. It doesn't work like that. That's another problem.
Okay, so you saying the fighter get $1 million purse? You saying the managers got to get their cut first before
No, the trainer the first, the manager second, then the fighter gets his after the sanctioning fees are paid off the top, of course, and then if it's a title fight of any type. And then what's left? The fighter's got to pay back that $300,000. Okay. So that's how it happens. And once you start borrowing money from your promoter, you're always going to get behind the 8 ball.
So what about the IRS? So when you pay taxes, do he pay taxes on the million, or do he pay taxes on what's left?
He pays the taxes on the $600,000.
Okay. So yeah, whatever's left minus the expenses. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and the taxes would be what, like 39-40% tax bracket, somewhere up in there?
It depends what state. That's federal, but it depends what state you're in. 33 1/3, probably 30. About 3%. But you also got state tax unless you live in Florida, Nevada, and Texas.
In Texas, yeah. So, yeah. We don't pay state tax here. I'm so happy of that, boy. I'm like, wow, boy, they double whammy, boy. That's socialism for those. Hey, that's socialism. So doggone man, so it's a good chance a fighter can get paid a good purse. And boy, if he what kind of financial advice? As someone like yourself, you dealt with fighters, you've been in the business for 33 years, and I believe something that you say versus someone that's on YouTube who got a YouTube channel, because you don't know nothing about the business, you're just a fan of the sport. I like to talk to people who have been involved in the business, who know how to negotiate contracts, who have read contracts, understand the language, dealt with attorneys, dealt with managers and promoters, have experience at doing something versus someone who don't know Adam from Eve. So what type of advice, like from a financial standpoint, that you used to give fighters back in the day?
Well, it depends on how much money, what bracket they're in. If they're in the, let's just say, for instance, they're in the $1 million bracket, right? Okay, let's assume they are. Okay, then I would say, and they're fighting, let's say, twice a year. They're going to get $2 million gross. So let's just say at that point in time, they're only paying a manager and a 10%. Okay, because by that time they're not paying 33 1/3 anymore. Let's say they're changing their trainer 10%. Let's say another 5% that says, so let's just say that's $1.5 million left over. They pay their taxes. That's $1 million left over. A guy should be able to live on $250,000 a year and save $750 a year. So should he be able to take $21,000 a month out? Yeah. And live comfortably and wonderfully? Yeah, I would guess so. And he could save $750,000.
Okay. All right. Yarmus, what you say, fam? No, this is another question from the chat. This brother here said how come you have such a bad reputation in boxing?
I didn't know I did. I have 46 clients around the world, and they're very, very happy with me. So I don't know what you're referring to. I have
Yeah.
no idea. Do I take people's bullshit? No. Do I stand up for what I think is what my beliefs are, and what I think is right? Yes. I don't take any bullshit from anybody, but I don't have a bad reputation at all. I have a very good reputation. If you go to my website, glazerboxing.com, you'll see a testimonial page from some of the powers of the boxing business, and you'll see what they have to say about me. So that's glazerboxing.com. Go to my testimonial page, and my phone number is there. My email address is there, so you can call me back, or if you want to call it, and then we can discuss it further if you'd like.
I guess the question would be for that brother, who does like, where does he get, like you say you got a bad reputation in boxing, a bad reputation with whom? I would like to ask
This
him.
guy the other day on Facebook comes down with this Brandon Walker that I steal money from fighters. I said, what's he talking about? Fighters aren't my clients. How do you steal money from people that aren't your clients?
Yeah.
The managers are my clients. Their managers are my clients. Number one, I don't even handle the money. Okay, number one. And when I broker deals, the promoters are my clients, not the fighters. Yeah. So I have no idea what he's even talking about. So it's ludicrous. It's crazy.
Mad Dog 8 say, what is it? Hey, what you say, Mad Dog? He said only PBC fanboys hate Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, if you have any receipts, he got a bad reputation. I would like to definitely see that, fam.
The Haymon Johnson jumpers. That's what I call them. The Haymon Johnson jumpers. They're jumping on Haymon Johnson so bad he's screaming for Vaseline.
No, he probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe he heard it from somewhere. Maybe he has some kind of facts or receipts that he probably could produce.
There are no facts or receipts because it never existed, so there can't be.
So the advice that you would give fighters when they start making money, getting up there, would you say for them to be kind of frugal with their money?
No, that's not the right word, because frugal implies a cheapness. No, just be conservative. You can spend if you're bringing home $1 million a year, you could spend $250,000, live $21,000 a month in round figures, and live very, very nicely.
Yeah,
your taxes would be paid already. You'd save $750. That's not frugal.
Yeah,
frugal's being cheap. In other words, trying to live on $4,000 a month when you're trying to. That's frugal. No, that doesn't mean don't go out and buy a nice car, don't buy a nice house, but everything encompasses $21,000, your total cost of living.
Yeah, $21,000. You got to live within that budget. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not frugal at all. That's living properly, is what I would call it. That's not frugal. That's not living over your head. That's living properly.
Shit, I can live out $21,000 a month. Shit, you know what I mean? Like,
well, here's what's important to know. Let's just say he loses his title. Okay. Yeah. And if he's had his title for 2 years, he's got $1.5 million saved. Okay, so then he can cut down his overhead down to 12,000, and he doesn't even have to worry about a thing.
Yeah.
So, just common sense.
Yeah. So I don't know if I asked you this before. When you have you ever managed a fighter before, Rick?
Nope.
Never managed fighters. So your role in boxing has strictly been what? Matchmaking.
Matchmaking, brokering deals, rendering advice, advising, and I've been an expert witness in 34 boxing lawsuits. I'm accredited in federal court as a expert witness in professional for all cases related to professional boxing. Like I said, render advice for $600 an hour. I advise a couple fighters, but they have managers. I don't take on fighters without having managers. It's too much of a headache on a full-time basis. I got too many things going on, and I'm a hands-on guy, and it's just not how I operate. It's then you become a high-priced babysitter.
Yeah. So I had as a matter of fact, so you just like to deal with the managers. You don't like really dealing with the fighters as it relate to that.
No, I don't. I like fighters, but I don't have the time that they would require to nurture them and, put up with all the stuff that goes along with it. The baby mama drama, all the stuff. Just don't have the time. So every fighter I work with has a manager, And I work with that manager, that fighter, but I work through the manager.
So you're pretty much a broker.
Pretty much.
A broker. So broker in the sport of boxing, being a broker, you've been in what 33 years. So I would
32.
imagine 32. I would imagine you have a pretty huge Rolodex. So you have contacts. I mean, you can get in contact with.
Yeah, my business is worldwide. I talked to somebody today, boxing, 3 people from California, 3 people from England, the UK, period. Let's see, 1 guy from the Ukraine. I'm just trying to think all the calls I got today, but there wasn't that many. There's never that too many on a Friday, especially Christmas, like this. So, but people all over the world I deal with on a daily basis.
Okay. What would be some of the reasons why someone would reach out to Rick Glaser?
Various reasons, because I would be their connection. If they're from overseas, sometimes I'm their connection in the United States. I know what the fighters will fight for. I've got direct inroads to the fighters. I can make the deal. Many reasons, or they'll call me up and say, "Hey, I need a fighter, a ranked fighter to fight my guy. He's a welterweight. The date's this. Who do you got?" And then I go contact people, and that's the way I do it. But it doesn't mean it's for the guys from the United States. The fighter I could get could be from another country altogether.
Mm-hmm. And I guess without spilling too much of your business, so basically,
no, fine.
You charge by the hour. Someone gets in contact with you.
No. I only charge by the hour for advice. $600 an hour for advice. Okay, but if I'm brokering a deal, then I get 10%. So if the promoter pays, what's so funny?
No, but this dude, Halim always talk about his 10% cut. So you said the magic words 10%. He love that. But go ahead.
Right. I get 10%. Okay. And it comes from the promoter. So I call up the fighter and I say, "There's $50,000. The promoter knows he's got to pay me $5,000 on top of that." That's why I said, I don't know where I'm robbing the fighter. Yeah. Or he said, "I rob people, fighters. I don't do it all. They're not my clients." How do you rob somebody when they're not your client?
Yeah. I don't know.
I have no obligation to anybody but the promoter. That's my client.
Oh man. So when they reach out to you, do they give you an idea? Hey, listen, man, I got a fighter. Do they tell you when the matchmaking comes into play?
Yeah, they'll call me up. The promoter will call me, or the matchmaker. A lot of times, the promoter will call me directly and say, "Listen, I got this welterweight, Habibation. Let's just call him Habibation. His name's Habibation, and he's number 7 in the WBC, WBA, whatever. I need a ranked fighter to fight him. From one of the 4 organizations." And I say, "Why do you need a ranked fighter?" "Because the TV over here won't buy it unless he's fighting another top guy." Okay, so then I know I can't downgrade him into something else right off the bat. You understand what I'm saying? It's got to be a ranked fighter. Now, if he says to me, "I want a ranked fighter," well, why? "Well, it'll sell more tickets." I says, "Yeah, but a ranked fighter is going to cost you $75,000, $100,000, and an unranked fighter is going to cost you $35,000 or $40,000. Well, I'm just throwing figures, of course. And then all of a sudden I'll say, "Is it worth another $35,000 or $40,000 for a ranked fighter?" "Nah, not really. You're sort of right." Okay. Then a good fighter with a good record that may be necessary not ranked. Yeah, okay. So it depends what the situation is. You got to decipher and ask questions about what they're actually really looking for.
Okay. So a fighter that's, I mean, this might be a dumb question, but I have to ask this question. A fighter that's
fire away. I'm an open book, my friend.
Okay.
Except for the people I rob, of course.
Oh, there you go. I told you. He said he robbed the people.
Little sarcasm there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I just said, "Ooh, boy, there's some bad people." Boy, when them Haymon, they do not like you. They hate you with a passion, boy. Lord have mercy. But anyways,
they don't like the truth. That's why. It's the truth that they hate.
So if a fighter that's ranked in the top 10, do they make more money versus a fighter that's ranked outside of the top 10?
Yeah, of course. Let's say that there's 15 in the rankings, a guy in the top 5 will make more than a guy in the top 10 as a general rule. Now, and if it's in the top 15, then the guy that's number 14 or 15 will make less than. But this is when they do make more. By the way, let's just say that that guy comes from a foreign country and he's got his own foreign TV deal, or he can get TV in his own country. Then he could make more with that TV, but with a TV or streaming deal. But that's very possible that can happen. But as a general rule, depends on where you're ranked and how much you get.
Okay, so yeah, general, how much, depending on where you rank, how much you get. So can you explain to me, like, Tank Davis has a fight coming up. He's fighting Hector Garcia on January 7th in Washington, D.C. Can you, now I had Anthony Peterson on, which is Lamont Peterson's brother. The fight is what, 15, 16 days out. He still doesn't know who his opponent is going to be. And he say
there won't be. It's a typical PBC deal. Oh, Anthony, you're going to be on the card. Get ready. If they need him at the last minute, then they'll call him. It's jerk off shit. That's PBC jerk off shit.
So he don't know who he's fighting as of yet, which I think
no,
is a disadvantage.
He won't be fighting on that show. You'll see. Very, very, very rare. I'd be surprised if he does. Let's put it that way. He could.
Yeah. Because I'm like, bro, it's real close. Like, it's less than 3 weeks.
Don't forget, Anthony's with Freeway.
Yeah, he's with Freeway. Yeah.
Who am I close to? Freeway.
Yeah. So, damn, man. So, what would be a typical fight card pay? Like, when a promoter puts a fight together, how do they determine?
It depends on who you're fighting, what network it's on, if it's on TV at all, what streaming network, what the site fee rights would be. Just there's so many factors. I mean, what position you're on the show, if you're the main event, the co-main event, the third fight. Yeah, there's just too many factors to give you to give you a price. But to give you an idea, those all things I just mentioned play into it. And risk and reward plays into it too. If the guy's a big puncher or the guy's left-handed or whatever.
Okay. All right. So I hear a lot about southpaws in boxing, right? What is it? Why do certain people, like commentators and stuff like that, they make such a big deal about, oh, this guy's a southpaw. Why is it?
Because the history of boxing is years ago they were pariahs and there weren't that many around. Today there's many around, but people still have it embedded in their minds about southpaws. They're harder to fight, they're trickier, and also they cost more money to fight because of the fact that you got to get paid sparring. Because if you're looking for right-handers, you got right-handers in your own gym that could spar with that guy. But if you go to southpaw, you got to bring sparring partners in because you probably don't have two southpaws in the gym. So it costs a lot more money to fight a southpaw than it would a right-hander.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because it's so rare. And then now, I think the thing is now the switch hitting, and there's a couple of fighters they switch hit pretty well. Of course, Crawford, I think he kind of made that popular now.
Yep.
And then
Hagler did in a prior generation.
Yeah, Hagler did it. Hagler, man. But you know what? I just got through watching Hagler and doggone Roberto Duran the other day. Man, boy, they went at it, boy. Hagler,
November 10th, 1983.
It was fighting in the pocket, but that was some good fight. I mean, from the first round all the way to the 15th round. I was like,
look how small Duran was. You see how small physically he was next to Hagler, because he was a natural lightweight.
Yeah, boy, I'm like, boy, man, we just don't get.
What's this guy say? Rick Glaser, I got $2.
Don't hate. He's a member though. He's a member. Hey, shout out to my brother.
Listen, I don't hate on $2, but inflation has struck.
Hey, but inflation affects them as well. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man. So yeah, I was watching Hagler, man. You know Hagler, my favorite middleweight, man. I love Hagler, man. Hagler can't do no wrong to me. You know what I mean? Like it's the marvelous one, baby, the marvelous one. So, but what do you think about the middleweight division today? Like, that used to be like kind of like one of the darling divisions because of people like Carlos Monzon and then Hagler and stuff like that. Today, man, like, what do you think about the middleweight division today? You got Triple G, Jamal Charlo, Jaime Munguia. Damn, who else is it?
You just answered your own question.
Damn, I don't know, man. Shit just seemed bro. It's like it's one of the worst divisions in boxing now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Have you ever experienced times where fighters hid behind their promoters not to fight certain fighters?
Spence, it's happening right before our eyes. Would you miss that or what?
Nah, I'm just saying, like,
Spence.
Well, his fans don't feel that way. They feel like, I listen to language very well. And when I hear a fighter, any fighter says that, hey man, I'll fight anybody, right? I expect the fighter to do that. And when it's a top guy, and when a fighter understands, hey, in order, I have a goal. Because I had Kid Austin on. We're going to talk about Kid Austin. I have a goal to become the undisputed champion of the world in any weight division. Mm-hmm. Right now, I have 1 belt. I have 2 belts. I have 3 belts. I have, I have 1 belt or 2 belts, right? Now, in order for me to become that, I have to make this fight with this other guy. I'm going to do whatever it can. Normally, when you see 2 fighters, they really go out of their way. Look, we're going to make this fight happen and become undisputed. Josh Taylor did it. Came all the way from the UK after fighting in the tournament. He got it the hard way. Josh Taylor got it the hard way. Came to America, you know what I mean? Fought, and became undisputed. Jose Ramirez. Became undisputed. Now Jose Ramirez, he's saying that, hey, I think he's the mandatory to fight Regis Prograis for the WBC strap. That was the same belt that he had. He don't want to fight the guy. He pulled out for whatever reason. He turned down the Mando. So I heard it was for financial reasons, but it kind of looks like a duck to the fans and stuff like that. What do you think?
I think it's a duck, but I'm being told otherwise, but I still think it's a duck. Who's this guy saying? 499. Munguia is the king middleweight cherry picker. Oh, yes. No question about
it. Yeah, Munguia. Jaime, he's just a baby. I had this one chick call the show, and she was like, she's from San Diego. I ain't gonna say her name, but she said, yeah, Jaime, he's just a baby. I'm like, the dude 40-0, he's 40-0 with 75 knockouts.
Time out. He's already been WBO junior middleweight champ.
Yeah.
He's no baby.
Yeah, I'm saying the middleweight division. I'm like, the dude, listen, the dude 40-0, 75 knockouts.
Yep.
When is he gonna be ready?
It's nuts.
Like what you think Oscar De La Hoya got going on with his career?
It's not Oscar. It's Zanfer, his other promoter manager, the guy from Fernando Beltran is the guy's name. Mm-hmm. That he's the culprit there. It's definitely not Oscar.
Yeah. So why do you feel that they are moving him this way? I mean, he gonna bring Rocco Marciano record.
There's no explanation that I can give you that anybody would like. So there you go.
Yeah, he gonna break Rocco Marciano record. He gonna be 50-0. Like shit. Hey, this man fighting taxi cab drivers, tomato cans, Amazon delivery drivers. I'm like, man, bro, they do it with no shame over there. And I'm like, God damn, because I'm thinking it's Oscar De La Hoya. So it ain't but you're right. You just corrected me. He has 2 promoters.
Well, the other guy's more of a manager than a promoter in this case because Oscar's doing all the heavy lifting. So, but it doesn't matter. The point is that they don't want to fight anybody.
It's amazing, man, because I see some of these fighters today. I'm gonna talk about Kid Austin, but I see some of these fighters today, like certain fights you see get made just like that, right? They'll get made just like that. Certain fighters, they'll fight certain fights, probably stylistically that's to their favor. And they make these fights in 5 minutes. But then when it comes to other fighters, there is a whole bunch of stipulations. Like, perfect example, Jamal Charlo. And it's something about those guys over there. Jamal Charlo is like, well, he told David Benavidez, I'll fight you, but you got to get a COVID shot. You got to be 25. You got to know how to drive a stick shift. You got to know how to, he came with a whole bunch of stipulations, but he didn't come with those stipulations when he fought Juan Montiel, when he fought Hugo Centeno Jr., when he fought Matt Bay Korobov. He didn't come with any of those stipulations for those guys. So how come certain fighters, they come with stipulations for a certain type of fighters, but other fighters, when they fight, they make fights just like that? Do you have an explanation?
They're looking for excuses not for the fight not to happen. They're laying out the excuses for you. Now, this guy, I know Will. Hey, Will, thank you. Inflation has struck and Will realizes it. Congratulations. What's he saying?
He said Munguia's last opponent was 100-1 underdog. He say it should stand to reason when you get odds like that as a top prospect that you're not really competing against the best, not a champion, but almost 50-0. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel you, Will. I feel you on that. We got another one right here. Shout out to Dragon Bean. He said, Rick, can Fulton be stripped if he don't fight Inoue?
Oh yes, 100%. Oh yeah, because they just declared Inoue the super champion, 100%.
But I think Fulton says he's moving up to 126. I'm not sure. Is that been confirmed?
Then he can vacate, but he won't have the title no matter what way you look at it.
So if he vacates, okay, ironically, Inoue's moved up to 122. He said he's done. He's moved up to 122. That's official. So if Steph moves up, we got to put him in the category of what everybody said with Demetrius Andrade. You got to say, well, oh man, you know the other dude moved up, or you was mandated. So let me ask you this. So does that mean that Inoue immediately can say, hey, I want to fight you at 122 because I'm the super champ now because you had a WBO strap?
100%.
And if Steph moves up, then that tells you he's ducking.
No, it looks that way. It would seem to me, but it doesn't say definitely he's ducking, but it surely looks that way. Yes.
Yeah, he's a damn good fighter, man.
Listen, I'm a big believer in Stefan Fulton's abilities, but who's he with? Al Haymon. You know this. You know that story.
Let's see where would that fight take place at? If because I heard Bob Arum say something of the sort that he would like to have Inoue come over here to America, at least have a fight over here in America, because a lot of
here. Yeah. It could be here, it could be in Japan, but Fulton's not going to be calling the shots, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What's his name? Well, Inoue just brings in too much money. Fulton can't bring in that kind of money.
Yeah. That dude's a rock star in this country. He's huge over there, man. What do you think about the people? Yeah, before we get to let me write this down. Think about the people in Japan. And then what do you think about Kid Austin, man? I had him on the show the other day. Well, that was yesterday.
I worked with him and his father for a very short period of time. And at end of 2021, from September to December 31st, when I resigned. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's a very nice kid. He's very well spoken. He's got a lot of ability. And I don't know how durable he is because you haven't seen it because he hasn't fought anybody really good to test him. Yeah. But if he's got the durability, he can be a world champion. He's got ability. He's fast. He trains very, very well. Yeah. He's one of those, Jaron Ennis type guys. And he doesn't have any bad habits. He's a quality kid. And I hope he does very well. I hope he does well. He's a good kid.
Have you ever been to Japan before, Rick?
No.
What do you think about their fans over there? I was sitting there watching, I got up a couple of times and went live.
They don't move, they don't smile, they don't clap, they don't wave. They just sit there.
I ain't never seen nothing like this, man. Bro, I'm sitting there watching the fight. I mean, the ring girls look like flight attendants. They just sitting there, they got, they sitting in the ring.
It's a different kind of country. This is very weird. Okay. The fact that they're there shows you that their expression. Understand what I mean? The fact that they're sitting there.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of thing.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's like they just sit there like somebody like me. Do you think I would get arrested if I was in Japan calling the fight? Because how hyped up I be. You think they'll arrest me?
No, they wouldn't arrest you, but they look at you like you were like a wild man. Like you were completely wacky.
Man, God, why y'all so quiet here, man? God, he caught him with a good right cross. He caught him with a good right. Get off the ropes.
It's a different world over there. It really is. It's not a comparable to the U.S.
Man, I'll be like, man, God, I'm like, bro, I'll be hyped up.
Did you also notice something else? There's no women in the crowd.
There's no women in the crowd.
Very few.
Oh yeah. How do you notice that?
Guys come in 2s and 4s to the fight. They normally don't bring their woman to the fight. It's not a something a woman. You notice there's no Japanese women fighters.
Nah. You know what? I thought you sure?
Yeah, there's a few women, but it's very, very few.
Very few. Yeah. Because I saw a couple fights. The Middle East, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Dubai. That area has really been active in boxing. Eddie Hearn seems to have a good connection over there. He's able to get his fighters. Certain fighters. Well, he promotes all over the world, but he's able to get fighters on the bag over there. Do you foresee Bob Arum being able to get some of that Arab money to make that Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk fight?
100%. But Frank Warren's been delegated to do that, from what I understand, who's his partner in Tyson Fury.
Okay, so yeah, man. Yeah, get some of that Arab money, man. Hey, look here, man. You got a relationship. When the last time you talked to Bob?
Oh, it's been a while, but I do have a good relationship with him. But it's been a while. I haven't talked. I don't talk to him unless I have to. I don't call him. In other words, like if I need something done, I'll call him. But I don't call him. Hey, Bob, how are you today? How's everything? What are you doing? You know, I don't have that kind of relationship. Very few people have that kind of relationship with Arum. Okay, but I talk to some of his guys all the time, and I'm in contact with them. But Don, I talk to all the time. Don King, I talk to him literally all the time.
Man, you gotta hook that interview up, man. I gotta interview Don, man. You know, I love Don King, man. You gotta interview, man. You gotta get me an interview with Don, man. I just want to hear him talk. I do this for the people, by the people, of the people, because we come from the people. You know what I mean? I am a people person. I represent the people. I gotta get that, man. You gotta get him on here, man. God, man, hey, hook me up with that Don King interview, man. Man, you gotta do that, man. Get in contact. Yeah, get in contact with Don.
I hooked you up with Freeway, and
yeah,
you hooked up with Freeway, and I'm going to hook you up with Don. I'm hooking you up with iconic American figures.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got to get Don, man. Like, I love Don King. I love Don, man. Don is one of the funniest guys that I've seen. I don't know him personally, but I've seen, and he has a bigger than life personality. He lights up the room from what I saw just on television. Very, very smart guy. You and him friends. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what he's seeing you, but
You want to hear a funny story about Don and I? One time there's 8 women standing there, four black women, 4 white women, and 2 Hispanics. And this before I was married. This is 2006, I believe it was. Yeah, 2006. And he goes, "This is my main man, Rick. He's a provider of lovemaking services to black and white alike." I said, "Don, Hispanics too." He goes, "Hispanics too."
But Don King is listen, man. Tell me, is this true or not? I don't know. I don't know how to say. I'm trying to think. Where did I read this story at? Because Don King been sued quite a few times. And I don't know if this story is true or not, but I heard that he got put on the stand one time, and the prosecutor said something after the trial or whatever, because he didn't get convicted. It was like a hung jury, or he won, or something like that. He got found.
So was it a civil suit or criminal?
I think it was a civil suit.
Okay, there's no prosecutor in a criminal in a civil suit, but keep going. The opposing attorney. Yep,
yeah, something of that sort. They say, man, the worst thing that happened was we let Don King get on the stand and talk. He confused everybody. He said something that Don confused the jury or something like that. He would have dropping them 14-letter words, and he. And that Don confused the jury. I was like, man, Don using words that ain't nobody never heard of. What the hell did he just say? Like, have you ever?
I'll tell you a funny story. Okay. We were in an Italian restaurant once, and the guy who owned the place was literally right off the boat. He was a real Sicilian from the old country.
Yeah.
And the guy he had introduced to his friend as D'Antonio Coluccio. So Don, a second later, used the word discombobulating. The guy leaned over and says, the guy says, no, it's D'Antonio Coluccio. Don had already moved on from that, but the guy didn't realize it.
Hey, listen, the first time I've ever heard, I heard somebody said something bad about Don. He did an interview in the media, and he said this is character assassination. This is a travesty. To have someone scandalizing and dismerchifying my good character. I never heard scandalizing and dismerchifying my good character. I was what, 15 years old? I was like, damn, scandal. I ain't never heard of that before. It sounds good. I wrote it down, and my cousin, I got a cousin, that's his famous line, right? Yeah, you trying to scandalize my character, dismerchify my good name. And I heard Don King say that, and it was like, man, listen, bro, that dude could talk. He could be in the jaws of a lion, getting ready to be eaten and devoured, and he can talk himself out of that situation. He can talk to convince the lion not to eat him and just let him live to see another day.
Okay, I'll tell you a funny Don King story with me. So I was going back years ago. I don't know, maybe 2005, 6, 7. I don't even remember what year.
Yeah.
And I'm invited to a holiday party at his house. It was the week in between Christmas and New Year's. That week there. And he had a beautiful holiday party, and he had this big, huge table of shrimp and oysters and crab legs and stuff. I'm literally standing over the table like eating. I didn't want to go away, and one of those things I didn't want to get too far away from the food. He says, "Hey Rick, keep eating, but step back about 20 feet. Well, it'll make room for others."
Boy, listen, man, look here, man. That was one of the people I always said I wanted to meet. Don King, boy, only in America, man. I mean, the man got the gift of gab, man, and I love that.
One time we're sitting in me and Don are sitting in first class. We're going somewhere. I can't even remember. We're leaving Florida, and I'm sitting on the aisle seat. I mean, the passenger seat. The window seat, and Don's sitting next to me, and across the aisle, the woman goes like this, praying, the star.
Yeah.
Don goes, "Listen, if that plane goes down, that ain't helping."
You know what I mean? Hey, that doggone man, bro. Let me know if you can answer this or not. Was Don Mafia connected?
No, that was all bullshit. When you go to certain cities like New York or Atlantic City, and those guys want tickets, you give them tickets, but he wasn't connected to the mafia, no. But those guys call up and say, "Hey, this is Guido Sarducci. We need 20 ringside tickets."
Yeah.
And Don will get the picture and say, "Okay." And I'll have 20 ringside tickets for you, and that's how it works. Everybody does that. I mean, there's no promoter that doesn't do that. Okay, that's just it's respect, So, but these not mafia connected. No.
Did Bob Arum and Don, did they really hate each other, or it was just like
It was a love-hate relationship. One day they were kissing, one day they were hating each other. One day they're suing each other. One day they're making a deal. One time they were trying to make a deal. They still had a lawsuit going on. And Bob had sued Don, and Bob says, Don says, "You want me to make this deal with you? You got me in court. You're suing me." Hey, this is two. Don goes, "This is two. Bob goes, "This is two separate transactions." That's not confusing the two.
We suing each other. But look here, baby boy, we got to put that on the back burner. That ain't got nothing to do with business. What's going on right here.
He says this is two separate deals, two separate transactions. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that another day.
Hey, was this true? Was this true about when Don King made the Muhammad Ali and George Foreman fight? Was this true that he ran down on George Foreman at the airport? And got George to sign a blank contract and said we'll fill in the details later.
That's not true. That's not true. But I will tell you a funny story about Bob. One time I was at a press conference.
I'm talking about Don King.
No, that's not a true story. One time I'm with Bob Arum, with the whole crew, not with Bob, but their whole crew. We're having lunch in Vegas, and we're having lunch in Vegas at some restaurant. And it was like, I don't know, like 12 of us, but Bob was there. And he says, and Don calls you. He says, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm actually having lunch with Bob Arum." He goes, "Lonesome Bob." That's what he calls him. I go, "He doesn't look so lonesome right now. He's got 12 people around him. They're all smiling at him."
Man, I say this time and time again. I say that Don King and Bob Arum, in my opinion, were from a boxing fan standpoint, they were the best things that happened in boxing. I think they really made each other great promoters because they gave us the fights.
They were great. They were truly great. Bob still isn't. Don let the years get to him more than Bob, but they're great promoters. These guys don't know how to promote today. They think they do. That's all there is. Let me ask you a question. Everybody wants to listen to Bob Arum and Don King at a press conference. Who wants to listen to these other pukes? Nobody wants to listen to them. It's just the way it is. Those guys are iconic.
Yeah, man. I mean, I would love. The thing is, I kind of like. I love Don King, man. I talk trash about him, but I say, man, you know what, man, I miss Don. Because I was sitting there thinking one day, right? I was like, man, it just, I'm 48, and I'm like, man, it seemed like it changed so much from the time I remember watching boxing from the late 70s all the way up to now. And I'm like, man, I wonder what changed. Why is it so different now? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I say Don King and Bob Arum, even though Bob is still around, but you don't have a Don King opposite of Bob Arum. I mean, the King is not really on promoting like that anymore, but I'm saying that's what you don't have. You have an Eddie Hearn. Of course, Frank Warren and Bob Arum do business together. Al Haymon, we don't know where he at. He don't even talk. No one knows what he really looks like. So I just don't.
Half the people that think they know who Al Haymon is, that they see Sam Watson in the ring, they think that's Al Haymon.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
So, hey Rick, man,
can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
When I first came on the show, exactly 1 hour ago, you said, "I got a couple questions for you, just a few minutes time today." Somehow we creep it up on an hour, and you're still talking.
Yeah.
And I'm still listening.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. I ain't want to have you too long, man. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up now. Hey, shout out to Halim, man.
Hey, $20. My main man.
Dub. He said, Rick, when you come into the UK, Cooper, he said, what did he say? A cup of tea. Be ready for you. 10% code. He always talk about 10%, boy. Halim, you always want that 10%, boy. I give you that. He screamed 10%. I think Rick, you want your money up front, or you want on the back end?
I want it up front. There's no back end. Listen. Real quick. I'll tell you a funny story about 10%.
Yeah.
The guy, a fighter, says to me one time, "How come you only want 10%?" This is when this is back in the 90s. I represented him as his agent, and a well-known fighter. "How come you only want 10%? I was paying the last guy 15. I says, "If you could tell me how much smarter I can be for 5% more, then I'll charge you the 15%. We said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, you think I could be any smarter?" He says, "No, you can't be." I said, "Then why would I charge you 15% and take advantage of you?"
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. Hey, but Rick, man, thank you for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate you, man. Salute.
Merry Christmas to everybody who's celebrating Christmas. And if you're not celebrating Christmas, happy holidays. And I know you're going to have me on next week before New Year's. So absolutely. I'm not going to wish anybody Happy New Year yet. All
right. Salute to Rick Glaser, man. On sign out, man. Salute. You back on Twitter?
Thanks. No, they still got me. Twitter still got me. I don't know what they call it, suspended or on hold or freezed out or frozen out or what, but they keep. I appealed the case, and that was 6 days ago, and they're still jerking me off. But it's all right.
You got to get an attorney, man. You got to get a Twitter attorney.
Yeah, I'm going to get an attorney, I think.
All right. So salute to Rick Glaser, man. Salute. Shout out to Slick Rick, man. Yeah, man.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.